All right, I'm recording. So I remind you, fall registration for fall courses is coming up. So get that taken care of. All right. So we had a test on Thursday. That's like the next thing in my pile of grading to grade. So I haven't done it, but it's coming up. So you'll know, if you don't know where you stand, you'll know sooner. We're in the middle of the Flask stuff. We're getting close to finishing the Flask. The Flask is mainly about interfacing, and we're getting through most of the elements of interfacing, and we have a few things to do, like session variables and cookies. So we have 2 or 3 more labs to do before we'll cut off that material. But that's going to end up to be for sure after the break, because we have 2 or 3 more labs, and I always give you a week to do things, and so we're into spring break. So the soonest a test would be after spring break. And I certainly want to give it the Tuesday back. So I have to figure out if how many more labs there are. Are there 2 more labs, or are there 3 more labs? But sort of late March, we're expecting test 2, and that will be on the Flask stuff. And for those of you who like drag your feet and do everything at the last minute, just understand that as the course goes on, that becomes more dangerous. There's a large sort of setup on the Flask, and sometimes it works and it's 5 minutes, and sometimes it goes wrong and it takes a long time to figure out what's gone wrong and to get it right. And then even if you've set up your environment right, it takes you a little while. You might be following the code I write, but just putting it in the right place is half the battle sometimes. And I've seen people really flub test 2 because they just don't know where to put things. So you need to put in a little bit of time on this. And so got the feeling on the previous test, a bunch of people just waited to the last minute, and some of them pulled it out. I don't know, I haven't graded yet. Some of them may have pulled it out, but it gets harder to pull out, pull it off at the last minute as we get deeper into the semester, just because of the setup, because of the number of files we have to manage, and the places they have, the right locations they have to be in, and right relationships between them. So just fair warning. Okay. Questions before I start new material? No. One day you'll shock me and you'll have one. Okay, so we're into Python, the whole course. We started Flask. We're working with WT forms, so we're getting information from the user, and we're going to add different types of elements to get information from users. So today will be radio buttons, checkboxes. Okay. So the first thing we'll do is radio buttons. And so here I have, it's FG. So app FG forms FG. I'm copying all that stuff over, and where is it? It's in documents 341. Flask 2, I think, was the virtual environment I made. I'm putting it in the virtual environment. And app FG is what I want to run. So here's app FG and form FG. And then in app FG, it will tell us that we're going to look at FG form and FG form handler. So this is what I'm telling you, that there are lots of files in these things. Just a basic program, and there are 4 files we're juggling here. And a CSS and some data, you know, it's easily 6 files or something. Okay, so let's start over we know what the APP is usually the routes. It's usually just the pathway from one side to the other. Then the form is what the user is interacting with first, and then the handler is more of the response, but everything starts with the forms FG. Okay, so since everything sort of starts there, let's start there. So what's over here? There is the Flask form. There is a submit field. That is a button. Usually when you are on a form and the button that has the special role of sending you up to the server. So we're on the client, the browser is a client, then we are going up to the server. That particular button is known as a submit button. So it's not just a generic button, but it's a submit. So that's why it's called the submit field. We're going to get a radio field, which is going to be a set of radio buttons. With radio buttons, if you don't know, radio buttons are when you have a set of options and the user picks one. And I'm not quite sure why I have required. I guess that means that they have to click one of the radio buttons, or we're not going to move on. Okay. Then we say, here's me setting up the radio button. So I am choosing I'm at FG, that's Five Guys. Years ago, I had a student who really loved Five Guys, so I made something to make him happy, and that has just followed me since. Here are the choices are lists, square bracket is list in Python, and then the parentheses are tuples. So I have a list of tuples, and then the tuple has 2 things in it. And one thing is what the user sees, that there is a hamburger. And then there is the other thing in the tuple. The first thing in the tuple is the value, what gets passed behind the scenes. And I have 2 pieces of information, the hamburger, and then I have a vertical bar, and then I have the price of a hamburger. And then cheeseburger, bacon, hamburger, and bacon cheeseburger. Okay, so a very healthy diet here. And I have validators that says this input is required. I have another set of radios, and that is how well done. So it's slightly higher than McDonald's. At McDonald's, you go to McDonald's, you ask for a hamburger, you get a hamburger. At Five Guys, you're allowed to say how well you want it done. So we have some choices. Do you want it rare, medium rare? In this case, the value and what the user sees and what the value we pass behind the scenes happen to be the same. They can be different, they can be the same. Okay. And then I'm trying to figure out, do they want fries? And I'm going to deal with the fries in a different way, but this time I'm dealing with the fries of just saying the choices are yes and no. So it's going to say, do you want fries? And there's going to be a yes radio button, a no radio button. And here is a little style thing, because when we set up radio buttons, I said a radio buttons is a set of choices. And so they are going to be made. That's one thing that WT Forms does for us, Flask and WT Forms does for us, is sort of designs the interface. And it's going to design this set of choices as a list, as an unordered list, as a UL, if you know your HTML. and ULs have items, have list items, and they are usually bulleted. And so this is sort of saying, add to the class, when you're rendering these, add to the class that I don't want any bullets. So there will be, that's not me directing it to have no bullets. That's me saying that this thing will be assigned the class of no bullet. And then over in the style, I will define a no bullet style. So this is just me saying I'm going to add a class, and the name of the class is no bullet. And then I must make my further step of defining the no bullet class and saying whatever CSS code I need to sort of say, forget the bullets. Okay, and the submit field. All right, so we're looking for app underscore. So, well, let me look at the other things. App underscore FG is just the route. So the default route goes to FG form. FG form has the, if it's been submitted, I go to the handler. If it's not being submitted, if it's like the first time, then I go to the form. And I switched from is submitted to is valid. So if we have validation, the first validation, some validation doesn't let you off the page. Other validation, you have to come to the server, and then the server will say it's not valid. So the simplest input required, that may not let you off the page unless you've done something. But more sophisticated validations may have to be checked on the server and then sent back. Okay. So we've gone beyond just is submitted and made our question is it valid? I occasionally get stuck with some problem, so I usually try to keep the is submitted because it's a simpler question. It's an easier question, so I try to keep it there, commented, to sort of uncomment it if I need to switch back. So it's sort of kept there because I wasn't completely confident that this was going to work. So if it works, if valid works, then that's better, and I keep it. And if it doesn't work, I sometimes slip back to is submitted because I'm a coward. Okay, and then the form. Here is this little thing, the CSRF token thing that's very easy to forget, but very important. Nothing works without it. Here's me saying I want a burger. Here's the label for the burger. Here's the actual burger, which is a set of radio buttons. There's an error message that I'm going to show if something goes wrong with the radio buttons, which means they probably didn't click one. And this one has no class, whereas the level of cooking is also radio buttons, but here I am assigning it a class here on the form. So this is me in Jinja, the curly bracket stuff is Jinja. Here's me assigning the no bullet class on the form. And you saw me for the yes, no button, apply the no bullet class over on the form page. So there are two places I can apply the class. And then I have the fries, which is just the yes, no. And that the class was applied over in the WTF. And here is the submit button. And then the handler just says, there's a header, there's a title, there's a header. I am splitting the burger because it had the name of the burger and the price of the burger. And so I'm splitting it into the item and the price, and then the price I'm casting as a float. And then I'm showing the item. And then I'm saying what level I'm cooked to. And then I'm getting the fries result and splitting it, and casting that price as a float, and then adding the two prices together. So if there were no fries, it's a 0. If they asked for fries, it was, I don't know, 3 something for fries at Five Guys. They're a little bit expensive. And then if the item was yes, that they wanted fries, I'm going to add the words add fries. Okay. All right. So let's see if this sucker works. Somewhere in here, there I have the environment variable for the Flask app, but I have to change it to, it was app FG. So no 4, get rid of the 4, underscore FG. And then I'm going to Flask run. And it could not import app FG. Why not? Oh, I'm not in the right place. Let me get into the VENV. Let me activate while I'm at it. So that is in the scripts. Activate. So now I should be safer. I'm in the VENV. I'm in the, I'm activated. Let me try it again. That's better, I hope. So here is my form. Okay. Here are the bullets. So remember the burger, I did not style. The cook level and the fries I styled, and I just styled them in different places. It should yell at me if I didn't choose anything. So choice was required. So let me choose cheeseburger, medium well, and I good for fries. Okay, so here it is. There's the cheeseburger separated from the price. It was cooked to medium well, and the fries were $3.69. And then the total. So radio buttons. Questions on radio buttons? No. Okay. All right. So let's Control C, get out of there. So now that we know radio buttons, let's throw in checkboxes, I think are next. Or no, a multi-select, and then a checkbox is a particular variation on a multi-select. So the radio buttons were choose one thing. You choose, you have hamburger, cheeseburger, bacon, hamburger, bacon, cheeseburger, you pick one. This next thing is for when you get to choose more than one thing. So I'm going to put some, I think I'm going to put some toppings. I'm going to have ketchup and lettuce and tomato and what have you. And I can put those on my burger, and I'm allowed to choose more than one. All right, so extract. Copy. And go to Flask 2, VENV, that's where I'm pasting. Place everything. Okay. So close, I'll close it and open it. The app is, I don't think anything interesting. That's not the app. App FG, forms FG, and FG form and FG form handler. Okay. So the app FG is not much terribly exciting. I go to the form handler or I go to the form, not much to it. The form is where things will have changed. So I have a submit field, I have a radio field, I have a select multiple field. And then I have a validator of required. I'm not going to put, I think I'm not going to put, I hope I didn't put, I should not put an input required validation on the multiple select field, on the select multiple field, I should say, because they might want a plain old burger. They might not want ketchup or mustard or onions. So they have to choose a burger. I can't make them a burger if they don't choose a burger. So radio buttons they have to choose, but they don't need to choose any toppings. So I should not put the input required validator on the select multiple field. But here's the new thing, select multiple field. Here's the burger. We had that before. Here's the level that it's cooked at. We had that before. Here are the toppings. It's a select multiple field. There are choices. Same as there are choices in the radio buttons, it's just going to be handled differently, that the person's going to be able to pick more than one. But here are the choices. And it's one of those things, it's a list of tuples. And again, there's a behind the scenes and what is shown. In this case, they're the same. You could have like some K for ketchup, you know, you could have some kind of acronyms or what have you, or just simpler versions than something spelled out. So they don't have to be the same, but in this case, I just made them the same. So there's ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, onions, and mushrooms. Okay. And then there were the fries and the submit button. So the new thing is the select multiple field. In terms of what you have to feed it, it looks the same, but it is different in the method, or in this in this method we're using. That this is, well, a class, I should say, that we're using select multiple field. Okay, so that we looked at the app, there was nothing to it, that was just routes. We looked at the form, let's look at the form here. You usually don't see the differences over here because it's all handled behind the scenes for you. So all we say is that there are toppings and that they have a label, and then we want the toppings. So all of the, and that there may be errors. I don't think there will be any errors with the toppings, but I just said it anyway, just for like consistency. I mean, either you choose toppings or you don't choose toppings. Where could there be an error? But anyway, just for consistency, I put it down there because I just keep copying the same thing and pasting it in. It looks like I don't have any style here in terms of bullets. I didn't put it over, I didn't put it here in form FG, in FG form. I didn't put it over here in forms FG. So I didn't put it in the Python. I didn't put it in the HTML. So it's probably going to have some ugly bullets. And then the handler takes some work now because you can choose multiple things. So it's going to hand you a list, and then you can sort of, I don't know, loop over this list and do things with it. So this is the same as before, the price and the splitting and all that, that's the same. So we know the level of the burger, we know the price of the burger, what kind of burger it was, that's all old. And down here's the fries and adding it to the price. Here's the toppings, that's the new stuff. And we see, as just advertised, that the toppings are an array. Even if there aren't any toppings, even if there are no toppings, it's an array with 0 items. Even if there's one typing, it's an array, or I should say array, Python, I should say list. Actually, I'm in Jinja, so I don't know what the hell I should say. But I guess it's get list, because that's what it says here, get list. So the result in terms of the toppings is a list. So it's going to do funky things. If you try to pretend it like it's a single thing, it's going to do funky things. But if you realize that it's a list and treat it as a list, you'll be fine. So here I'm results, I add in get list toppings, and then I am looping over that. So top is just my made up name of an item in my list. And then I'm spitting out the topping. And this is a non-breaking space in HTML. And so that puts just a space. So I'm just going to have the toppings and a space between them. And then the fries and all that we repeated before. Okay. So let's run this. So a multi-select. So I can choose multiple toppings. I usually like checkboxes, but this is our starting point. Okay, so here is, oh, because it's a multi-select, there are no bullets because there are no bullets. It's a this is a select. We had a select before, which was a drop down where you pick one thing. Now we have this multiple select where you can pick more than one thing. So my rattling on about bullets was stupid because this thing has no bullets. The bullets will come in when we make checkboxes. Okay, so here's the hamburger, cheeseburger, etc. I still want a cheeseburger. I still want it medium well. Maybe I want it well. I think, I don't want to die. Let me do it 3 times. Let me do it with no toppings, with 1 topping, and with more than 1 topping. Okay, so I'm going to choose no toppings, but I still want fries. Okay, so there it says toppings, and it's just a blank list. I could have an if and say if the number of toppings, I'll show you at the end how to count the number of things. And you could have an if over in Jinja and say if the list of things was 0, then don't even mention toppings. But I'm mentioning, I didn't do it. I wasn't that smart in this case. I said toppings, and then there were none. Let me choose 1 topping, ketchup, and there's my 1 topping. And I can choose multiple things. Let me choose onions and mushrooms. So the user, I'm a user right now. I hold down control and I can pick more than 1 thing. And let me add ketchup. So I had ketchup and onion and mustard. And there's ketchup, onions, mustard, sort of as just a space. That's my non-breaking space in there. Let me have a peek at what this looks like in HTML. So here are my burgers. Here's the unordered list I talked about. And then here's a list item, and there's an input, which is of the radio type. And here's the word required, saying I have to have 1 of them. Here's the cook level. That looks pretty similar. Here is the drop down, the multi-select. So it's a select and it says multiple. That's what made it show more than 1 thing and allowed me to choose more than 1 thing. Any questions? No. Okay. So now I'm going to turn the multi-select into checkboxes because I like checkboxes better. Okay, so radio buttons multi-select, multiple checkbox field. So extract. Close that, copy this. 341 Flask 2 VENV paste. Replace. Okay, play the game. All right, so let's just see if they updated. So the big changes should be in forms FG. Let's see. And now I've added here widgets. So I had the radio field, the select multiple field, I added widgets. Then we brought in a class. I got this thing off of this GitHub thing. So that's where I found the reference to making this into checkboxes. And I have a MultiCheckboxField, which builds off of, extends the SelectMultipleField, because checkboxes allow you to choose more than one thing as multiple select fields. So behind the scenes, they have the same functionality. They just look a little bit different. So we're extending the class SelectMultipleField to make the MultiCheckboxField. And we're sort of turning it into a list and making them into checkboxes. There's no, if I ask you for checkboxes, you copy this. There's nothing here that you change. Down here, there's stuff you change, because I'm going to say now the choices are ice cream flavors. Now the choices are, I don't know, other things, pizza. I'm always eating these things. But this part you have to have, but doesn't change. It's nice to know the stuff that you don't have to touch, that you don't have to work with, you just have to have. You have to have it, you don't have to do anything to it. Okay, here's my burger, same as before. Here's the level of cooking, the same as before. I switched the toppings to a multi-checkbox field. That was it. It's still toppings. There's still a list of tuples. I still have the same toppings. Now that it's a multi-checkbox field, I am doing the no bullet thing, because they're going to make the checkboxes into an unordered list, and I don't want my unordered list to have the bullets. Okay, and then here is the radio button for fries. What's over in the form? Nothing. Nothing's changed. Not nothing, but nothing's changed. All I've changed was how I'm viewing the toppings. But over here in the form, all I say is I want the label to prompt the person that this is about toppings, and then give me the toppings. And then it's going to go over to my WTF and say, oh, he wanted checkboxes. Okay, so that is that. No changes there. And in the form handler, there are no real changes either, because I'm getting the same result either way. I'm getting a set of toppings, and so I'm listing the toppings. So all it's going to be is I'm going to change from that drop down that allowed me to choose multiple things, and I'm going to make it a set of checkboxes instead. Here we are. Now it's checkboxes. I'm still in the mood for a cheeseburger. I still want it medium done. I want ketchup and mustard, and not mustard. I want ketchup and mushrooms and onions. And I still want fries. I'm still hungry. Okay. So all the same, except the look, we switched it to checkboxes. And keep looking up to see if you'll ask me a question and surprise me, but not yet. All right. So where are we at? So that was multi-checkbox field. Now BooleanField. I'm going to switch do you want fries with that question, from a radio button of two choices, yes and no, of which you must pick one. And we're going to change it to a single checkbox. Remember, we just did multi-checkbox, but I'm going to change it to a single checkbox and you check it if you want fries, and you don't check it if you don't. So we're going to change the way they ask for fries. Okay. Here we go. Download it, open it, extract it. Copy it. Close, or yeah, no, I wanted to open. I'm in where? Documents 341. Flask 2, virtual environment, paste. What did I change? I changed the fries to a BooleanField, which is a single checkbox. So let's look in FG, forms FG. Let's look in the original Python. I bring in this submit was the button. Radio was, of course, the radio button. Select allowed me to pick more than one thing. Widgets turned the select multiple thing into checkboxes. And the BooleanField is the new thing that I'm introducing, which is a single checkbox. And you know, a Boolean means something that's yes or no. So it's yes, I want fries, or no, I don't. So where are the fries? It still says RadioField. Oh no, okay. So I kept it as it for a comparison. Okay. Forgot what I did here. So here's the old way of doing fries. Do you want fries with that as radio buttons, yes or no? And then I have a Cajun fries, and I'm doing that as a BooleanField. And do you want fries with that? So the BooleanField is just yes or no. So I don't give choices. The choices are yes and no, or true and false, because it's a BooleanField. That's sort of built in. So there we go. Do you want fries with that BooleanField fries Cajun? Okay, and I'll leave the old fries the old way for comparison's sake. And I have to put that on the form. Here's the Cajun fries. I switched. I usually do the label, and then I usually do, like here with the toppings, I usually do the label and then the toppings. Here's the one where I swap them. I do the Boolean, and then I do the label. And that's just a style thing for me. I like my checkbox to be the lead and then what it's about to follow. But that's just a style thing. That's not a big deal. But there is me putting on the page the question about, do they want Cajun fries with that? And then I have to do something in the handler for the Cajun fries. And I'm just saying the Cajun fries is a Boolean, so I can use it in an if. So if the Boolean fries was true or false, then I'll say, if they wanted Cajun fries, I'll say, and an order of Cajun fries. I'm not dealing with the price right now. I'll give you another thing in a minute to handle the price, but this is just saying, and Cajun fries. Okay. So I want a cheeseburger. I want it medium well. I want ketchup and mushrooms and onions. And I'm going to say, no, I don't want fries because I want Cajun fries now. And I'm going to place the order. And there's my cheeseburger, medium well, ketchup, mushroom, onions. And there is my order of Cajun fries. Okay, so that was the Boolean, the one-off. Let's see what it looks like behind the scenes. View the page source. I know that's a little hard to see. Need to make my font bigger here. Here is the input. it is of the type checkbox and the value is a Y. So that is what they're sending me for the Boolean. Okay. I didn't do anything with the value. I did something with whether it was checked or not checked for the most part. Okay. There we go. Almost done. I have two more things to show you. I want to show you a hidden field so I can send behind the scenes additional information. And then I want you to be able to count in the multiple select. I want you to be able to count the number of things. So here's the hidden field. And I'm building up, but once you get going and you know what's what, you can just look at the last one and it just sort of has a little bit of everything in it. Sometimes my examples change. This is just an example that builds. So documents 341, Flask 2, virtual environment, paste it in there. And then what? On the Flask test, I often give you like a start. So I often say like, here are some routes, and I may have something that's really simple and here you build it from scratch, but anything that's more complicated, I'm going to hand you and then say, okay, work with this, focus on the coding of it. Okay. So forms FG, here's the hidden field. So before, with the Boolean field, with the other previous fields, we had information that was passed back and forth, and we don't really have that with the Boolean. The Boolean is just true or false. So I'm going to use a hidden field. The word hidden is going to suggest to you that it's going to be hidden from the user. The user is not going to see it, but it's going to be part of my form, and it's going to have this information. And so then I can use my hidden field in conjunction with my Boolean field to pass my information about how much the Cajun fries cost. Okay. And I need to put that on the form. So here's the hidden field along with the Cajun. And then on the handler, I say, here's the Boolean, and I ask if there was Cajun fries or not. And then I take my hidden field, Cajun info was my hidden field, and I split it, and it had the item, which was Cajun fries, and the price, which was, I don't know, $3.79, and then I might add it to my total. Okay. So those Cajun fries were not free. Here we go. So it looks the same because it's a hidden field. Of course, it looks the same. A cheeseburger, medium well, ketchup, mushroom, onions. I don't want fries because I want Cajun fries, but let me look behind the scenes. And here's an input of the type that's hidden that has the value of Cajun fries, $3.79. So it allows me to send that extra piece of information from one place to the other. And place the order. So there's my cheeseburger, medium well, ketchup, mushroom, onions, with Cajun fries for a total of $10.68. Okay. And I can get two kinds of fries if I'm really hungry. It's not like I can't have fries and Cajun fries. I can. I just have to pay for it. All right. One last thing. Now, at Five Guys, you're allowed to put as many toppings on your burger as you want. They don't cost any more, so that's fine. But way in the beginning, I had when the one thing I did was I didn't choose any toppings at all, and I was still saying toppings, and then it was blank. So there are times where you might want to either charge more depending on how many toppings there are, or you might want to change your display and not display anything if they didn't have any toppings. So that's the last thing I want to show you. It's just a counting problem. There we go. So that's me. I'm going to get a list and I'm going to do the counting over in Jinja. I could do the counting in Python. I could. So there are different places. I tend to do a lot of Jinja stuff, but it's a style. All right, copy documents 340, Flask 2, virtual environment, paste, replace. And so what did I do? I'm not sure what I just, is it all still FG? Jinja list. Yeah, it's still all FG. So I did some counting probably of toppings. Okay, so I think the change here is in the handler and in the toppings. And here's me looping through the toppings. And here's me finding out how many toppings there are. So top underscore num is the number of toppings, is the result, get list toppings. And then I did a vertical bar length, and that got me the length of that list. And then I'm just saying that's so many toppings. So just a change in the Jinja in the final part. And so I'm going to say one more time, I want a cheeseburger, medium well, I want ketchup, mushroom, and onions. I don't want fries, but I want Cajun fries. And here's me saying that's 3 toppings. All right. Now, what do you have to do? That stuff. Just, I think I'm going to make you be healthy after I was unhealthy eating burgers. So you get to make a salad. Okay. So you get to choose one type of lettuce. So that's going to be radio buttons. No mixing of lettuce at my salad bar. You're going to be able to pick any number of fixings. So that is I want a checkbox. You're going to be able to choose one dressing. Another way to choose one thing is a drop-down select, just to give you a variety of things. You're going to have a form, you're going to handle the form, you're going to show me what lettuce they chose, what fixings they chose, what dressing they chose, and then you're going to determine the price, and it's going to be $3.50 plus 50 cents for every topping. So that's what you have to do. Questions? No. Let's stop recording.